New York versus Dallas came down to the wire tonight. Shamit with back-to-back triples. PJ Washington brings Dallas within one. Brunson puts New York up 2, and then they get the defensive stop. It was absolutely incredible to see that. And, of course, you got reaction from Knicks fans and supporters everywhere. Offensive foul, Knicks win. That comes from CP, the franchise, who's going to be joining us in just a few minutes. I'll admit, Caroline, when I saw it in real time, I said, there's no way. That is such a you-know-what call. I hated it. And then immediately they gave me the broadcast angle that shows the arm sort of clipped around. Yeah, it's a good call. It's just a stupid way to watch a game end. Like, it's a blatant wraparound, as you see. Stupid way to watch a game end. But what a win for the Knicks. Oh, and we've got CP, the franchise, going to join us right now, man. We saw your Kurt Angle tweet to it. Give me your reaction to that last night as you watched that whole thing finish.
Confusion, because when I was watching that last play, my eyes was on that baseline referee, and he clearly signaled an offensive foul. But the fans in the American Airlines arena went ballistic, and on the MSG broadcast, the announcers thought that Dallas and Brandon Williams had converted on an and one. So it was confusing at one point, but once things settled, hey, that was a brave call by that baseline referee in crunch time situation to make the call, but it was the right call. It was a wraparound on Landry Shamet, and we just got to respect the call and move on. But for the Knicks, they certainly survived what could have been a nightmare loss.
Survive is right. And look, a win is a win, and you will take a win in any form that it comes in. But this is the Knicks' first road win of the season, and it was a close one against a struggling Dallas Mavericks team. I don't want to rain on the parade the morning after a win, but why have the Knicks struggled so much this season on the road?
Yeah, as it relates to last night, I mean, they were atrocious shooting, especially from the free throw line. I mean, they shot 54% from the free throw line, missing 16 free throws. You just can't do that, especially on the road, and expect to get a win. This is the NBA, and yes, the Dallas Mavericks were shorthanded, but you have to respect the opponent, and that is by executing in all three facets of the game. The Knicks shot 14% from three in the first half, and yes, they came back in the second half and shot the ball better, but ultimately their defense and their three-point defense continues to be an issue carrying over from last year. When things collapse for the Knicks as it relates to their perimeter defense and forces that defense into rotations, that left Dallas with wide open three-pointers. And Max Christie, who's the Mavericks' best three-point shooter from the corners, I mean, he shot 3 of 6 from downtown, but he could have easily hit about 3 more. So the Knicks were fortunate there that he missed some wide open looks from 3. Mike Brown met with the media after the win yesterday and said, hey, that defense has to get it together. And so I think that's been a big issue for the Knicks. It was also a big issue for them in their loss against the Miami Heat on Monday.
CP, educate me, man. Like, because for years I've been trying to figure this out. Like in Major League Baseball, every park is different, right? In the NFL, the where the play clock is different. Like there's so many differences that make nuanced differences to how it feels. I understand because I've looked so much into this. Like elevation can make a difference the way the ball carries for the NBA. I get it. I don't like that's not an issue in Dallas. Why can some teams just not find the bottom of the net on the road when every single court is the exact same? I cannot figure it out.
It's super interesting, man. It's just a make or miss league. That's what I chalk it up to. I look at Jalen Brunson, a tale of two halves for him. He comes back from the ankle injury in the first half. He was rusty. Didn't seem like he had much explosion off of his ankle, but from the mid-second quarter on into the second half, he got into his rhythm. And when he gets it going, there's not too many in the league that can stop him. Jalen Brunson, with his 27 points, really put the Knicks on his back and saved him from embarrassment for sure.
So you bring up Jalen Brunson, he comes back from the ankle injury, ends up having a big night. What does he need to do? And who does he need to be in order for the Knicks to ultimately get to where they want to go this season?
Really just be himself. I mean, this is the reigning NBA Clutch Player of the Year, a 2-time All-Star now, the reigning Eastern Conference starting point guard. No disrespect to Cade Cunningham. He's having a fantastic season. But right now, Jalen Brunson, he's playing at an all-time level. And coming into the season, there was a lot of talk about how well he was going to adjust in Mike Brown's offense. Well, you're looking at it right now. He's doing just fine. He has the ball in his hands a little bit less. His time of possession on the ball is a little bit lower than it was last year. Nothing dramatic, but in the end, the Knicks offense is running and they're getting versatility out of their offense. And in the end, when you have to go to him in crunch time situations, he delivers 9 times out of 10 for this team. And so, look, defensively, he has a lot of warts that the Knicks are going to have to cover up. One of the ways that they can do that is making sure that they stagger his minutes with Karl-Anthony Towns' minutes, and making sure that you don't have 2 of your weakest defenders out on the court for a majority of the game. And so making sure that they can surround those guys with quality defenders, especially at the point of attack, what I just mentioned earlier, that is the way that you can get the best out of Jalen Brunson, because offensively, he's going to bring it. It's on the defensive side that they have to figure out how to protect him.
So let's talk about expectations then, because you've got a superstar player. You went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, but you fired your head coach. So what are the realistic expectations for the Knicks this season?
Championship or bust, or finals or bust, I would say. Finals or bust. I mean, OKC, they're looking like a juggernaut right now. But when I look at the East, it's wide open right now. And yes, hey, give Detroit their credit. They are playing outstanding basketball right now, and they still have some guys that need to come back from injury. You know, Cleveland is hovering around there. They've been trying to deal with the Darius Garland injury. Orlando, who the Knicks will see on Saturday, they've been improving after a slow start. And so, yes, there is some competition there in the East, but I don't see a team right now that the Knicks typically or really have to fear. The only thing they have to fear is the injury bug. They have to be healthy when it matters most, which is in April, May, and beyond. They have OG Anunoby now, who's nursing a hamstring injury. That's pretty typical for him. But for the Knicks, it's getting Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson, and especially OG Anunoby healthy for when the season ends. And I think it's theirs to lose in terms of winning the East.
You say championship or bust. And look, I think that's totally fair and totally valid based off of the Knicks team that we saw last season. But what's the or bust? Does that mean, if they don't make the finals, if they don't win a championship, what do they move on from Mike Brown after year 1? Is it going to be a total roster overhaul? What does the quote unquote or bust look like if we're going to look ahead, 6-7 months into the future?
Yeah, I think if they're not able to make it to the finals this season, would be classified as a disappointment. I mean, they were 2 games away from the finals last year. They fired Tom Thibodeau with the focus on winning a championship. And so if they fall short of even getting there, then I think you would have to classify this season as a disaster. And once these 82 games and beyond are over with, we're going to know exactly who this Knicks team is. And once Leon Rose and Worldwide West, once that contingent gets together and figures out what were some of the positives, what were some of the negatives, look, you're going to hear the Giannis trade rumors. You're going to hear those rumblings again. Is this the final piece here to finally take the Knicks over the hump? I think they're going to need to take the whole season and postseason and evaluate everything as far as the roster is constructed, how well the pieces are complementing each other on the offensive defensive end, and whether or not, if Giannis becomes available and if the Knicks, who would have an outside shot anyway, if they were a formidable a trade partner for the Bucks, if that's the final piece for them to make, it'd be tricky. It's certainly a tricky move.
CP, you mentioned Tibs. We're all trying to figure out what this Knicks team looks like. What's the biggest difference you've seen so far under Mike Brown versus what we saw under Tibs?
The versatility of the offense. Their ball movement is much different under Mike Brown. You're seeing there's a number of games this season already, early season, where you're having 5, 6, 7 Knicks in double figures. And the way that Mike Brown is utilizing his bench, guys like Jordan Clarkson, Miles McBride, Josh Hart, who started last year. Mike Brown has the luxury of bringing Josh Hart off the bench this year. So his bench is stronger, but he's also leaning on those guys a little bit to give him some quality minutes. He's extended his bench to 9.5 guys as he's promised. And look at the guy like a Landry Shamet, one of the heroes of last night's game, and also Friday night in their win over the Miami Heat in an NBA Cup matchup. Landry Shamet with 36 points off the Knicks bench. You weren't seeing that under Tom Thibodeau last year. He did not have trust in that bench. And in some respects, I don't necessarily blame him. The quality of players just were not there. If you look at it, guys like Precious Achiuwa and Cam Payne, like those guys are not even in the league right now. So, and in some respects, you can't blame Tom Thibodeau, but in others, Mike Brown has come in and kind of filled in those gaps. And I think lastly, he's coming in with the reputation of being more of a player's coach. Whenever you make a coaching change, yes, you want to make sure that that coach can take you over the hump schematically on one end of the floor or the other, but also the next coach typically is opposite the other when it comes to personalities. Tom Thibodeau known to be more of a rigid figure, not necessarily hated or anything like that. Those guys certainly had a lot of respect for him. He built a solid foundation here in New York over the last 5 years, but Mike Brown is coming in more approachable, as the players themselves have admitted. Mikal Bridges has spoke highly of Mike Brown, and last year it seems like him and Tom Thibodeau were not really on the same page. And so those are the three areas where I think Mike Brown is a little bit different than Tom Thibodeau.
And, if Mike Brown and this Knicks team want to go the distance and achieve really what the expectations for this team are, I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns has to be a big part of that. But he's in a bit of a three-point shooting slump, shooting just 32% from beyond the arc. What does Karl-Anthony Towns need to do? What do the Knicks need from Cat?
Yeah, the best shooting big man in the league, as he dubs himself. I think it's got to start with him finding better shots. I mean, listen, sometimes when he takes those 40-footers, you're amazed. You're like, oh, my goodness, how could he hit that? But other times, if he's out of a rhythm, those shots are not the best shots. And for Karl-Anthony Towns, what a lot of people want to see is him mixing up his shot diet, getting more into a flow, into a rhythm by attacking the basket. Most nights, Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be at a matchup advantage based on his size and physicality. So what you don't want to see is him just relying on his perimeter shot to break through slumps. So that is on Karl-Anthony Towns to establish his position in the post. Jalen Brunson to feed him the ball. I think we're seeing a bit more potent connection between these two guys as of late, and also Mike Brown to put him in the best positions to succeed. But also for Karl-Anthony Towns, just as it is with Jalen Brunson, defensively, Mike Brown has to figure out what is the best lineups and rotations to get the most out of Karl-Anthony Towns where you're not as exposed defensively. One of the things that Mike Brown has done is starting Mitchell Robinson alongside of Karl-Anthony Towns. We've also seen the Knicks run a zone on Friday night, especially on last Friday in their NBA Cup matchup against the Miami Heat. He's running a 2-3 zone to help limit some of that dribble penetration and help cover up some of those warts. And so there's no doubt Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be needed for the Knicks to have any sort of championship caliber hopes. But this is just kind of the confounding player that he is. Some nights he's all NBA, he's all world, and other nights you left scratching your head if this is the same player that you saw in previous games.
Well, he's not consistent. You are, my friend. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Great work as always. Congratulations on your incredible rise and your incredible career covering this team. We're all big fans of what you do. We appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us, giving us Knicks insights. When the Knicks are in the finals, you got to come out and hang out with us again.
Hey, anytime you guys need me, give me a call. I love what Yahoo Sports is doing. I got to shout out my guys, Ariel Hawani and Kevin O'Connor. They're doing a great job as well. And continued success to you guys.
Oh, thank you so much. Follow him on social media at
Appreciate
CB
you,
The
CP.
Franchise. Check him out across SiriusXM and at WFAN. He's everywhere. We appreciate his time